Oh boy, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, cat's staring at me, trying to make a video. I want you to look at this image of me. This is me. Life is good. I'm happy. Things are going well. It's sunny. Good driving weather. And I just finished restoring and rebuilding the brakes on my BMW 850i. So I'm feeling pretty good. And this is me just a couple days later. If you're going to work on cars, just assume that everything's going to go wrong. Everything's going to break. It all breaks. It always breaks. So this is a story about me rebuilding and refreshing the brakes on the 850i. So, like any good story, we have to start at the beginning. Or like any story. I don't know of any stories that start anywhere else other than the beginning. So here we go. So I bought this car. If you haven't watched my other videos, I bought a 1991 BMW 850i. 1991, it's 2024. It's a 33-year-old, probably 34-year-old based on the manufacture date car. So it's old. And the brakes worked, but they looked really nasty. And, you know, I didn't want to drive around a car with nasty looking brakes. So, here somewhere probably, I don't know, this is a new format, I don't know what I'm doing, is me taking the car apart and getting the brakes off. No big deal, right? Pretty straightforward. So we take the brakes off, that goes smooth, and then I go to Harbor Freight and I buy a really cheap bench grinder and a wire wheel, and I start doing this. Again, I don't know where I am in this video, I'm not seeing it, but it's somewhere here. And so I start cleaning the brakes. And that's the whole thing. It's really, really dirty and time consuming. Like, I probably spent a week and a half, just multiple hours every night, bench grinding or wire wheeling crap off of these brake calipers. You know, and I got a quote from a company here in the area. They were like, yeah, we'll professionally clean them with Media Blaster and we will powder coat them for $400. Like, that's a really good price. I'm going to do it myself because I don't like free time and things being easy. No, really, I just wanted to learn. It's fun to learn stuff, and it was an excuse to buy a new tool. And anyway, so I cleaned. Is everything clean? I think everything's clean. And then, did I already take the brakes apart? Okay, so here, maybe I did this out of order, but here's me taking the brakes apart. So we used compressed air to pop the pistons out, and that was fun, because that's like, for those of you that are afraid of balloons popping, it's like the ultimate balloon pop moment. Because once the seal breaks on the piston, it's like a small explosion. It's very loud. So we got the pistons out, we cleaned them. They're clean now? Are they clean? Double check. Does that look good? How's this? Is that good? Okay. So then next is primering. So here's me doing primer stuff. Just a spray can, nothing fancy. And then we painted them red because that was the color I wanted to do. I think red brakes on a black car look cool. So we got everything painted and it's looking good. I'm actually, like, genuinely, I'm looking at these and I'm going, this is good.
Are you sure about that?
I did a good job. Like, I cleaned them really well. I prepped them really well. I was even proud of my tape job, doing little circles to cover the things. So I'm feeling good, right? Feeling accomplished. Proud even. So I put it all back together. And at some point I changed the brake lines. So here's the brake lines. That was easy. The old brake lines were falling apart, and so I just bought some new braided lines from ECS Tuning or whatever. And those went on super easy. So I put it all back together. I put the pistons and the new O-rings and all of that stuff and the brake grease. So we got everything back together, right? The brakes are on, the new brake lines are on. The red paint is looking just beautiful. Fantastic job. Now, out of excitement, I put the car back on the ground, knowing that, a few days later, Alex was going to come over and help me bleed the brakes. I, up until that point, had never done a brake bleed. It's a process, and I like hanging out with Alex. I was like, hey, dude, come over and help me do this. And, he's got one of those fancy pressurized little bottles, and so he's like, yep, let's do it. But I got the car back on the ground, and I admired it, and I shot some video, and here's the video of it. I don't know, it's just red brakes. Like, you see the difference, right? I'll do a little before and after. Before and after. Okay, so Alex comes over, and this is where the nightmare starts. This is where things get real bad. So we do brake 1, like we start the bleed process, right? We're still feeling really good. So we start brake 1, and then we go to brake 2, and then we go to brake 3. And in my head, I'm like, things are going too easy right now. Everything's going great. I'm twisting the little bleeder valves off, and they're coming out nice and easy. And we're bleeding the brakes, and the air's coming out, and everything's going really well. And then we get to the final brake. So this is front left. We're at the front left brake. And I put my little socket on the bleeder valve, and I start to give it a little twist. A little bit of resistance, but nothing crazy. And then I give it a little bit more of a yank, and we broke it. We broke it in half. Completely. The bleeder valve. I have some video here now that I'll post. I have some video here now that I'll put up, which is basically like the aftermath. But let me explain what happened really quick, okay? Because this is where it got really bad. I think I have brief video. So I broke the bleeder valve in half. Already bad, but not the end of the world. That's you can recover. The way you recover, though, typically is you buy this thing that is basically like a screw or a drill, but in reverse. So as you tighten that drill, what it's actually doing is it's twisting to the left, lefty-loosey, right? And the goal is to twist out the rest of whatever's broken. Now, being that this is a bleeder valve, it has a hole in it, so I don't have to drill it, which is nice. The little back out guy just goes in and you do it. It comes out. Well, there's a reason the bleeder valve broke in the first place. It was never coming out. So I put in this tool, and I'm cranking on it, and I'm cranking on it, and I'm cranking on it, and snap. If you don't know anything about this particular tool, this little back out thing, I can't remember what it's called. Like an easy out? I heard people call it an easy out. I don't know. It's the thing that makes things come out when they're broken. These particular tools are made of hardened steel, okay? And that's important. That actually matters. And let me tell you why. Because if it was soft steel, right, like normal metal, that broke in the middle of the bleeder valve, you just take another drill bit and you drill it out and you just try again, right? Well, it's really difficult to drill hardened steel. Who would have guessed? Not me. So I spent 4 hours, and I'm not kidding when I say 4 hours, I'm not exaggerating. I spent 4 hours slowly drilling out this tool that I broke off in the already broken bleeder valve. So that's already been a huge headache, right? Of course, all the while, I'm getting brake fluid on my newly painted brake caliper, which is stripping all of the paint off because, they're not professionally powder coated. They're just at home spray canned. And so they just can't hold up to it. So I'm just destroying my new paint job, which is a bummer. But then I get to the point where it's I am not going to be able to get this bleeder valve out. That is very clear. It's completely rusted and seized in. And I tried heat and PB Blaster and WD-40 and everything. So once I've come to terms with that fact, that this bleeder valve is not coming out, my next step is, okay, let's just drill it completely out, and then we'll use a tapping tool and a sleeve. They make these repair kits, right? So you drill out where the bleeder valve was, you tap it, which means you add, the little grooves for a threaded piece to go in, and then you have this little sleeve. And I think I have video of that here. OEM brake calipers for a 1991 BMW 850i run around $800 to $900 for one. That's why I didn't want to just buy a new brake caliper. A $9 part and a lot of just wanting to scream seemed easier than spending $800. We got everything back together. We got the sleeve in, we got the bleeder valve on. It looks a little wacky. The paint is still messed up. I haven't repainted it, but you can't see it from, the outside of the car where everybody looks. But this is cars, right? This is what happens. The things you don't imagine going wrong are what goes wrong. But you're never prepared. You're just not. You start working on it and like the most random thing won't come off, or you don't have the right tool, or you do literally 900 things correct and then the bleeder valve breaks. Okay. So that's my drama story. Wah, right? Real tough. So I got this fixed. I bled the system myself. Alex left his little bleeder thing and I got it bled. And the car drives great. And it stops. I took it out the same day that I did the final bleed and I've had no issues. The repaired sleeve doesn't leak. It's all good. It's good. So my cat feeder's going off. Go get food, bud. But that's my story of brakes and working on brakes and everything going really well until it didn't. So thanks for watching. Hey, let me know how this format is. We're trying to make our videos more entertaining and interesting and fun to watch. And I don't know. I bought this green screen because I've always wanted a cool green screen setup. And there's a lot of funny people that do setups like this. And I was like, hey, maybe I can do funny stuff, but with cars. All right. See ya.